Break your arm today, and here's what happens. Someone drives you to a hospital. A doctor takes an X-ray. They look at the exact location of the fracture, the angle, the severity, and they make a precise decision about how to fix it. Then they give you something for the pain. Then they set the bone. Then they wrap it. Then they send you home with instructions, a follow-up appointment, and probably a prescription. 6 weeks later, you're mostly fine. Now do that same thing 50,000 years ago. No hospital, no X-ray, no pain medication, no doctor, no car, no phone, no one coming to help you. Just you, the ground, a bone that is no longer in one piece, and a group of people around you who are trying to figure out what to do before nightfall. Because nightfall is when the predators come out, and right now, you can't run. That's where we're starting today. Not with the medicine, not with the tools, not with what ancient humans knew. We're starting with the moment it happens, because that moment tells you everything about what survival actually looked like before the modern world existed. So let's set the scene. You're on a hunt, or maybe you're moving camp, carrying supplies across uneven ground, or maybe you slipped on a wet rock crossing a stream. It doesn't matter how it happened. What matters is that your leg just gave out in a way that legs are not supposed to give out, and the sound it made was not a good sound. The pain hits immediately. Not the dull ache you get from a bruise, something sharper, something deeper. The kind of pain that your brain registers differently, like a signal that something has gone seriously wrong inside your body. You go down. And here's the first thing that's different from today. Nobody around you panics in the way we think of panicking, because everyone in that group has seen injury before. They've seen bad ones. They've seen people not make it. Panic is a luxury. What happens instead is fast, quiet, practical thinking. The first decision is immediate. Can you walk? If the answer is no, everything else has to reorganize around that fact. The group can't wait. They have to keep moving, or they have to find somewhere safe to stop. Food doesn't wait. Predators don't wait. The weather doesn't wait. And neither does the rest of the group's survival, which depends on everyone being able to function. This is the part that's uncomfortable to think about. But it's real. In a small group of maybe 20 or 30 people, living on the edge of what their environment could support, one person who can't move is a serious problem. Not because the group is cruel, but because every calorie, every decision, every ounce of energy has a cost. And suddenly, part of that energy has to go toward carrying you, feeding you, protecting you, and keeping you alive while you heal. That decision, whether to do that, says something enormous about who these people were. And here's what the bones tell us. Archaeologists have found ancient human remains with healed fractures. Not just one or two, many of them, from sites all over the world spanning hundreds of thousands of years. And healed is the key word, because a bone doesn't heal itself in a few days. It takes weeks, sometimes months. And during that time, the person who broke it was not hunting, was not gathering, was not contributing to the group in the way they normally would. They were being kept alive by the people around them. One of the most well-known examples comes from the Neanderthals, which matters because Neanderthals were not us. They were a different species entirely. And for a long time, a lot of people assumed they were just brutish and simple. But the fossil record shows something completely different. There's a skeleton found at Shanidar Cave in Iraq, a Neanderthal who lived somewhere around 50,000 years ago. His bones show signs of serious injury. A withered arm, likely from a condition present since birth or early childhood. Damage to one side of his body that suggests he may have had limited use of it for most of his life. Evidence of healed fractures, and signs that he lived for years after all of this. He could not have survived alone. Someone fed him, someone kept him warm, someone stayed close enough, long enough, that he made it through years of limited physical ability, in one of the harshest environments a human being could occupy. That's not brutal simplicity. That's care. That's something that looks a lot like what we would call community. But let's get back to the practical side, because surviving a broken bone wasn't just about whether your group stayed with you. It was also about what they actually did to help. And this is where it gets interesting. Ancient humans didn't have medical knowledge in the way we think of it. They didn't understand what a femur was called, or how bone cells regenerate, or what inflammation actually is at a biological level. But they understood cause and effect. They understood what they had seen work before. And they had something that we often underestimate, which is time. Thousands of generations of humans watching injuries happen, and watching some people survive them, and some people not. Over that kind of time, you start to figure things out. Not through research, through observation, through memory, through the slow accumulation of knowledge passed from one person to the next. So what did they actually do? The first thing was immobilization. And this one they almost certainly figured out early. Because if you've ever broken something, even in the modern world, you know instinctively that moving it makes it worse. Every nerve in your body is screaming at you to stop. Ancient humans felt that same thing, and they responded the same way we do today, by trying to keep the bones still. What they used to do that depended entirely on what was around them. Straight sticks, bound tightly against the limb with strips of hide or plant fiber. This is essentially a splint, and it works. It's not complicated. It doesn't require any specialized knowledge. It just requires that someone looked at the problem and asked, how do we keep this from moving? Archaeologists have found evidence suggesting splinting goes back much further than most people assume. The concept is simple enough that it probably appeared independently in multiple places across human history, because the logic of it is almost unavoidable once you understand the problem. Then there's the question of pain. And this one is harder, because pain management without modern medicine sounds like it means just suffering through it. And sometimes it did, but not always. Plants have been used for pain relief for an extraordinarily long time. Willow bark, which contains salicin, a compound chemically similar to aspirin, has been used medicinally for thousands of years. There is evidence from Neanderthal sites, actual physical evidence found in dental plaque, of medicinal plants being consumed. Yarrow, groundsel, plants with known anti-inflammatory and pain-relieving properties. They weren't doing chemistry. They weren't analyzing compounds. But they knew that chewing certain things made the pain less, that applying certain things to a wound helped, that some plants reduced swelling, and some plants did nothing, and some plants made things worse. They knew this because their ancestors had learned it, and that knowledge had been passed down. It wasn't random. It was accumulated. And in some cases, it was genuinely effective. Now here's the part that most people don't think about, and it might be the most important part of this whole story. What happened in your head when you broke a bone? Because the physical part, as serious as it was, wasn't the only thing you were dealing with. A broken bone in the ancient world didn't just mean pain and limited mobility. It meant confronting something that your entire existence depended on, which was your ability to survive physically. You are a hunter, or a gatherer, or the person who knows where the water source is, or the one who makes the tools, or the one who keeps the fire going. Your value to the group, your sense of yourself, your entire identity is wrapped up in your physical capability. And right now, that capability is gone. Temporarily, hopefully, but gone. The psychological weight of that, in a world where weakness could genuinely mean death, must have been enormous. And yet, people came back. The healed bones tell us that. People broke things and survived and healed and kept going, which means the group held them up. And which means the person themselves found a reason to keep going, even when everything in their environment was telling them that being injured was dangerous. That kind of resilience isn't something that appeared with modern civilization. It was already there, built into us long before we had hospitals or therapists or any of the structures we've built to help people through hard things. It was already there because it had to be. So what actually happened when an ancient human broke a bone? The bone broke. The pain came. The group made a decision. Someone stayed. Someone helped immobilize the injury. Someone knew which plants might help. The group reorganized around one person being limited. And that person, over weeks, over months, slowly healed. Not always. Sometimes the break was too severe. Sometimes it was in a place that couldn't be stabilized. Sometimes infection set in, and there was nothing to stop it. Sometimes the group couldn't afford to wait, and the person was left. We don't know how often that happened. The bones that healed are the ones that got preserved. The other stories are harder to read, but enough of them healed, enough of them survived. Enough of them were carried through their worst moments by the people around them that we can say, with real certainty, that care is not a modern invention. Compassion is not something we developed when life got easier. It was there in the caves. It was there on the open plain. It was there every time someone looked at a person on the ground who couldn't walk and made the choice to stay. That choice is older than language, older than agriculture, older than any civilization we've ever built, and it might be the most human thing we've ever done.